Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are here in Central Park in the heart of New York City, and guess what? Of course, we came across something very, very special, and it's this car right here. This is it. This is your refresh, upgraded, tuned up 2024 Nissan GT-R. But before we get into this iconic nameplate from this Japanese car company, let's talk about what's going on here. The GT-R first came about in around 1970. Things over time kind of changed, not only for the auto industry, but also for Nissan. Now, the wonderful thing is, there was the reintroduction of the GT-R known as the R32. And of course, R32, R33, the iconic and beloved R34. And then finally, here in the United States, we finally got our own GT-R known as the R35. Now, it's been around for a few years, and what's interesting is that even though other competitors have done full redesigns, change engine displacement, horsepower, and everything else, the GT-R really has this secret sauce recipe of bringing all-wheel drive performance, twin turbocharged power, and still this way of doing things that separates it from the rest of the competition. But what I want to do is I want to dive in to this 2024 Nissan GT-R, show you what's new, show you what's different, and see if this is that supercar that you want to have in your garage. Let's go ahead and check it out. Right off the bat, the color. Millennium Jade, they really did a great job bringing it back, having it fit the body lines to a T, and with the new GT-R for 2024, you can have it 3 different trims. Premium, they're bringing back the T-spec, which I know a lot of people are very excited about that. And then of course the top dog, the GT-R Nismo, which remember Nismo stands for Nissan Motorsports. Now at the front of the business is where you're gonna see a lot of the changes. On the lower portion here, really digging how they kind of squared off and angled some of the body lines. You'll notice this little cluster of LED lighting, looking good, the way it extends off. You'll notice that extra flared fender that we got going on, fully functional when we look at the side. And then on the lower portion, we have a little bit of this metallic black area to give us more aero, because the GT-R, it's interesting because you park it next to some of its competitors, it seems a little large, but the way that they've been able to work the aero, it really allows the car to perform like none other. Now, as we come across the front, I'm really digging what they've done. They kind of went back and touched upon the R34. Remember Paul Walker in Fast and the Furious? You love that car. They brought some of that magic with the styling. You'll notice that we have that gloss black functional area up top with the honeycomb grille area. The GT-R badge never looked better here in the New York sun. And then working our way down, more functionality in the center. And then of course we're gonna have those massive softball size corner air intakes for all sorts of brake cooling and of course aerodynamic work. But you could just see the sheer width of this GT-R. Now when you get up onto the hood, what I like is that they kept those NACA ducts. These ducts are able to flow tons of air, and the best part is they don't create drag. And if you're wondering, well, what is NACA? N-A-C-A, that used to be what NASA is today. So this is aero work that was actually done for things that fly up in the sky. This thing though flies on the ground. Now as we come around the bend, what do we got going on? Wheel and tire setup. I am in absolute awe and love of this multi-spoke, nice gold tinge wheel on this Millennium Jade. Really works well with the color. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this wheel? You're basically looking at that massive 20-inch wheel, looking good. You'll notice behind these New York pizza style ceramic, carbon ceramic brake rotors, 2-piece rotor, gonna give you that maximum braking. And then of course you have those ginormous banana yellow Nissan calipers Brembo with all of that goodness. I like the way it says Nissan because it kind of touches on what this car is, but also Brembo. And that's the thing is, you look at the wheels, you look at the brakes, these are brands that know what they're doing. They've been doing it in motorsports for years and years and years, and the way that this car sits is just absolutely phenomenal. But those pizza-sized rotors are just, I can't stop staring at them. I'm getting hungry right about now. You'll notice on the side here of the fender how they reworked that body work, especially on the lower portion. And then as we come around that flared fender, I'm gonna have Lori swing around. I like what they did, keeping this color matched. A little bit of silver trim with the GTR badge. Now I know a lot of people also call the GTR Godzilla. One thing to remember is that the Japanese did not give the name Godzilla to this car. It was actually the Australians, when the GTR was racing in the Australian, basically what the supercar series is today, that's where the name comes from because of how dominant those R32s and the rest of the different generations were in that racing series. Now along the bottom, love the way they still have that same clean aero. And that's the thing is that this car is basically timeless. It really has aged well, but yet with the changes, you kind of scratch your head and you say to yourself, there's something different going on here. I like the way it's got the blacked out A-pillar. You got that great roof line, and something that's different than a lot of other supercars and sports cars is that you have some rear seats. That's something that a lot of those competitors do not have. Now out back, you'll notice, still got that same carbon ceramic brake rotor setup. You got the raised forged wheels. Love how they work this. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this tire back here? You're looking at 285 on the width. Now what's interesting is that with this car being all-wheel drive, power is sent to the rear wheels, and then there's another drive shaft that sends the power to the front wheels. So it's a rear-wheel drive base car, but you have that all-wheel drive performance to give you the ultimate stick. As we circle around, what are some of the changes? Look at the way they brought this nice, hard line squaring off the rear of the vehicle. You'll notice a little bit of that flaring on the bottom portion. Love the way that you have this massive rear spoiler, of course, functional. You got your traditional round taillights. You look at any of the GTRs, you'll see that connection to the past. We're lucky enough to have this GTR T-spec. Remember, 3 trims, premium, T-spec, and then the top one, the Nismo. And then as we go the way down to Chinatown here in New York, you'll notice the titanium exhaust. Love the way it's got the blue titanium tinge to it, fully functional all the way around. And then check out this rear diffuser. It looks like it's right out of a race car. Absolutely sexy and stunning all at the same time. Why don't we go ahead though, let's pop the hood of Godzilla and see its heart. All right guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod. Let me know how you feel about that, if I should zonk it, that it doesn't have hood struts. But what you're definitely not gonna wanna zonk is the heart of Godzilla. What is that? That is that massive twin turbo V6. First of all, I love the way it's got the gold tinge, just like the wheels. You could see the individual intake runners. This is a 6-cylinder, how do you know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then guess what? Hand built right in the heart of Japan. So what do we got? We got a 3.8 liter twin turbo V6, hand assembled, 565 horsepower, 467 pound-feet of torque. We got that all new titanium exhaust system, 0 to 60 in this car in about 2.7 seconds. And remember, this car is not a lightweight by any means. If you step up to the Nismo, you're gonna have 600 horsepower, 481 pound-feet of torque. And if you're wondering, well, what else you got, Joe? With the T-spec, remember, we have the Nismo carbon ceramic brakes, the gold painted raised wheels, those are 20-inch wheels, the Nismo Tune vehicle dynamic control, and the wider front fenders on this beast. But I'm telling you, I can look at this engine compartment, the carbon fiber bracing, the way that engine just has such a distinct look. But you know what? They were crazy enough to let me have the keys to this GTR. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's fire it up and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we're inside this 2024 Nissan GT R T-spec. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I have always wanted one of these. I think this might be the year that I pull the trigger since everything is going full electric. How much is it? Very good question. No official pricing yet, but what you're gonna expect is premium, which is the starting trim, is gonna probably be around $125,000. Then you go for the GTR Nismo. That's going to be over $220,000. But let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels. I like the dark green accents with the leather, the contrast stitching, and the door panel, I'm telling you, it has this retro look to it, but it now looks really cool with the way everything is changing in the auto industry. You got some carpet, that doesn't bother me. You do have a little net there. That's for the official New York Twinkies. 5 of them can fit in there. And you have the Bose sound system. Now going from the door panel to the dash, Alcantara everywhere. All over the top of the dash, the A-pillars, and I love the dark green with the stitching. Of course, we got that infotainment system, same system. I'm gonna zonk it though, because I actually like the system in the first gen R35 because it just looked better with carbon fiber and everything. But here's the good news. You got all those great gauges actually designed by the man who designed Gran Turismo. So if these gauges look familiar and you play Gran Turismo growing up, that's where they came from. Working your way down, the stitching, the leather, dual climate control. Of course, you got all of your great switch gear to go in full R mode when you're ready to rock out and do 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. This guy's gonna control your 6-speed DCT, dual clutch transmission. Remember, no manual available. You got your start-stop button, lots of carbon fiber, the T-spec badge, good old-fashioned e-brake with full leather, slide back. You got 2 cup holders, and you have the original GTR key fob. Has not been changed since Noah had his ARC and his very own GTR. We have our little direct drive control knob where you could actually adjust things in the infotainment system. Soft leather, open it up. You could easily put 5 packs of garbage pail kids, 2 USB-As, an aux jack, and a 12-volt. And then the seats, the leather, the microfiber suede material. Of course, they're full electric assist, heated, and up on top, you do have Alcantara throughout with this really nice stitch work. They did a great job with that. Plus, what's great is you get to share the whole Godzilla experience with other people. Backseat time, I wouldn't want to sit back there, but you do have that option to bring up to 3 people in your GTR and kind of melt their brain with the acceleration. But why don't you come over here behind the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of the GTR T-spec. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You'll notice you got that GTR badge with the T-spec on the sill. Electric seat controls, easy to figure out, easy to work. Steering wheel, love it. The stitch work, even on the horn button with the GTR badge, it looks fantastic. These surfboard style paddles to go up and down that 6-speed dual clutch transmission. And then of course, what do we got going on? You have your full carbon fiber dash with that tachometer in the center. All the rest of the gauges looks really, really good. It's interesting because it's retro, but I think it's kind of coming around full circle again. But I want to go on throttle. I want to take you on throttle. Let's see what we can figure out. But until then, we got to wrap it up from New York and Central Park. All right, guys, there's nothing like being in the heart of New York City. A lot of noise, a lot of commotion, but you know what? We make it happen no matter what. Now, I know you want to go for a drive, an on-throttle drive with me in this GTR. I definitely want to take you on one. I told him, you know what? Why don't we wait? I don't want to drive around the streets of New York City. That's not GTR territory. We're going to be going to Nashville, the home of Nissan Corporate USA, and that's where we're going to take it through some of the twisty bits. But let me know what you think about this T-spec. Millennium Jade, raised wheels, carbon ceramic brake rotors. Has Nissan done enough? Are you disappointed? Do you wish they would have done a full redesign? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. Of course, we got to thank the hardest working camera person in the world, Lori, working that camera like a champ. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.